hello everybody out there in internet land. Dakion here, coming to you on Monday the 14th of November 2016 with some progress with my painting, my weekly updates. And these are the first three minis I'm going to show you, the high quality minis as I call them, because there's going to be a clip about that regiment of Zulus after this. But first off, from Reaper we have these two snakes. We have the Iron Cobra, which is a snake-shaped golem rearing up here, and not a lot to say about that. We have the giant snake, which I painted sort of like a green mamba, a bright green on top and a sort of yellowish tan on the belly scales. And this one has some sort of frills and horns and stuff. And it was painted mostly with various inks and washes. And I think it turned out pretty good. You know, some light dry brushing, but mostly washing with inks or washes. And I kind of like how it turned out. And the third is the Orc Princess, which was this Kickstarter mini I backed for supposedly a display model. The thing is, I was a little disappointed when I started painting this. It's not really a sculpt that's suited for display quality painting. And the reason is not that it's poorly sculpted in concept or execution, it's just that, technically speaking, the detail, there's too much shallow detail. It's very hard to get three-dimensionality out of it, because like all the strapping, all the leather straps are almost flush with her skin, and too much of it is covering up the skin. It's really hard to get a good how shall I put this? A good contrast, a good level of detail on any one particular area when all the areas are so small and not really differentiated from the next area. But I did as well as I could with it, and I suppose it's okay. And here's the next batch of Zulus. Pretty much the same, wouldn't you say? I mean, there is one slight difference, and that is that I painted the shields white and green instead of white and red, because it struck me suddenly that having 30 guys all looking exactly the same would be boring, you know, and the simplest way to inject a little bit of variety would be the shields. So what am I going to paint the final 10? Well, I think blue is the only option. I mean, white and yellow wouldn't really register, and so if I'm going primary colors, I really should do white and blue shields for the final squad, so to speak. But you know, otherwise they are just painted exactly the same way as the previous batch, very simply and quickly. Now here we have all the stuff that's in progress since before. We have those GW minis in the back where not a lot has happened. I think the Necromancer has gotten some base coats on some other parts of him that hadn't had them before. These guys, the comedy guys, nothing's happened. I've started the final batch of Zulus. On the basis, I've done a base coat on the skin. In case you're wondering how I paint these, most of the areas are actually just a base coat and then a wash. They're that simple. However, the skin, being that there's a lot of it, well, we're all covered in skin, but these guys are showing a lot of it. I actually put down a base coat, a highlight, and a wash, because I feel, since it's the biggest surface area of these models, they need a bit more attention. So, if you're wondering, the base coat is this dark flesh tone, which is very, very deep reddish brown from Game Color. The highlight is tan, also from Vallejo Game Color. And The wash is Army Painter Strong Tone. Yeah. And that's how I paint them. And these will probably be done. The Zulus will be done by next week. I'm not sure about any of the others. Honestly, I'll paint whichever of them strikes my fancy. And here's those Frostgrave minis with just primer put on them. Well, no, they've been based and got some basing material on all the bases, and a layer of dark gray, well, mid-gray primer. It's uniform gray primer from Army Painter. And for all the ones that I can, I have, as you can see, 5 of these holders from made by Chris at Mini Wargaming, and I really like them. They work very well. So I'm going to continue using them and maybe even buy more in the future. But yeah. What's this, even more minis? You know, should I really be adding more to my painting queue considering how much is in my backlog already? Well, you know, maybe not, considering the fact that I have limited painting time this month of November, because, you know, this past weekend, yesterday and the day before, I was actually out of town. I was traveling. I wasn't at home, so I didn't paint anything. And next weekend is going to be full of gaming. I've got 2 role-playing sessions, one for Saturday and one for Sunday. And the weekend after that, I'm traveling again. So maybe I should take a break, but I can't really help myself. You know, I need to at least tell you what my ambition is, and if I don't reach it, well, at least I tried. My hope is to get these at least assembled by next week, and if not, well, like I said, at least I tried. What are these? These are a bunch of cultist miniatures from Heresy Miniatures. They're called the Tunnel Cultists, and this more complex model with various bits and pieces was more of a leader, and then we have sort of standard bearer and musician, and these 3 are the kind of standard cultists. They have this sort of scythe weapon that they wield, and with them also came, for some reason, these 3 giant grubs, which look really like, you know, I can paint them up to be really slimy and gross. I'm not sure what the connection with the cult is, but maybe if it's a tunnel cult, maybe they live in tunnels underground and they use these as pets to help keep their tunnels clean or something. We don't know. Anyway, that is the next project in any case. So let's see what the what my numbers are like in general, and whether there were any new arrivals this week. And to close out this week's episode, I'll show you what arrived this week. It isn't so much miniatures, but it's miniatures related. I got the latest Frostgrave supplement, which I pre-ordered. I placed the minimum pre-order this time, just for the basic book, really. It gave me a couple of bonuses. I got this wizard sheet, which is sort of heavy cardstock character sheet with some tables on the back. I had one of these before. I don't know when I'll ever use it, but it's nice of them, I suppose. I got these 3 new treasure markers, which I'll paint up soon, I suppose. And the actual supplement, which is Forgotten Pacts. This is the sort of the Barbarian supplement. The miniatures that went with it was a new plastic box of barbarians and some metal barbarians. I didn't get any of those because I have too many minis already. But I thought I'd leaf through it and show you what it's about. As usual, the illustrations are very nice. The starting part of it is called Forging Pacts. It's about closer connections with demons, using their true names and making pacts and sacrifices. kind of evil magic, kind of dark magic. And then you get to advanced summoning, which is still all about the demons. And demonic attributes, which is a new way of randomizing your demons a little bit by giving them some random abilities. And the descriptions of these take up quite a few pages, actually, all the way here. When we get to the new magic, there's only 2 new spells, one to summon a new kind of demonic servant, and the other is called Mystic Brand, which is a kind of barbarian magic to give temporary magical tattoos. I suppose this is what these guys are supposed to have, magic brands. And it's little brief bonuses they get to various things. Lots of different marks. New soldiers, we have some, of course, new kinds of guys. The assassin who poisons people. The demon hunter who gets a damage bonus versus demons. A demonic servant, which is a summoned being. The monk who fights with a bladed staff, which is a special kind of weapon. The mystic warrior who is fights with just fists but gets no penalties for it. It counts as a magic attack. And here we get the scenarios. There are a total of 8 scenarios. 6 of them are divided up into 2 mini campaigns of 3 scenarios each. This is part 1, part 2, part 3 of the first scenario, and then we get the second scenario, parts 1, 2, and 3. And then we have a third scenario, which is a standalone, and the fourth is also standalone. You get some new treasure, some new magic items, which is, yeah, the usual kind of stuff. Bestiary, new encounter tables for the northern parts of the ruins, where the barbarians lurk, and a bunch of stats. Some of these are for the named opponents in the scenarios, like this big demon Ambernax and a certain barbarian summoner. Others are like general rules for barbarians and some new kinds of monsters. And yeah. And at the end, coming in March, there's a advertisement for the next supplement, which is going to be a collection of all the mini supplements, the ones that have been reduced, only produced as ebooks, as PDFs. Hunt for the Golem, Sellsword, Dark Alchemy, and Arcane Locations, and they're going to add one more mini supplement. They're going to call it the Ravages of Time, and put them all together in a printed book. And that's the next release in March. It's good to know. So yeah, I haven't had time to read through this thoroughly yet, but you know, it looks up to the usual quality of Frostgrave stuff. So that's the show for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Click the like button if you did. Give me a comment if there was something you especially liked. And I will see you next week. Until then, I'm Dakian, signing off.